This week we're talking about all different kinds of lines. Up first we have straight lines. Now we can see parallel lines, lines that are going the same way next to each other. We have vertical lines, lines that go up and down. Next we have horizontal lines, so lines that go side to side. You can think about a horizon line. Now we have diagonal lines, lines that are pretty much in between vertical and horizontal lines. We have wavy lines, so you could have like a calm wave or have a wave like you might find in the ocean. Zigzag lines, they could be really tight or really long. Curly lines, like loopy lines here, or they could be crazy curly lines. Next we have curved lines, so kind of similar to straight lines, but this time we have no straight lines, just curves. Next you have dotted lines. You could make patterns with dotted lines. You could use big dots or small dots. Dashed lines look like minus signs, and they're just broken lines. They could be longer or shorter. Here we have scalloped lines, so sometimes these also look like wavy lines, but when we stack them, they kind of look like a gingerbread roof maybe. Spiral lines. We could have them close to each other or with some space in between. Next up we have castle lines. They go side up, side down, side up, side down. Similar to types of lines that you'd find on the top of a castle. Next we have bumpy lines. And think about like if you're in a car ride, pretty bumpy. Next we have scribbly lines. Nice controlled scribble, not going too crazy, just a little crazy. Next we have crisscross, so I'm using diagonal lines going in two different directions. Here we have vertical lines and horizontal lines. Alrighty, so now we're going to get started on our line monsters. So we're going to use a white piece of paper, write your name and class code on the back. Your class code will be different from mine, but I'm going to be filling up my whole page, playing around with any of the different kinds of lines that we just talked about. So I decided to use some zigzag lines. Notice how I'm going from all the way to the right and to the left side of the page to the right side of the page. So I want to make sure I'm filling up that whole space. I'm not leaving too much wiggle room in between both of those lines there. So I want to make sure I'm filling up my whole page. Now we're using crayons because crayons are waxy, and we're going to do painting kind of watercolor over this using those markers. So waxy crayons resist water, so it's going to show up really nicely underneath our painted monsters once we get to that step. But this week we're just going to be drawing with crayons, making the background, and then soon we will be doing the paint next time, okay? So I'm just continuing. I'm using a different color for each line. That way we can have a lot of different variety in our artwork. Lines are one of the elements of art. They're one of the building blocks. It's hard to find a piece of artwork without any lines in it. Alrighty, so you could think about sidewalk lines. Lines are everywhere. The trees, the roads. Can't really go anywhere without finding lines. So I'm finishing up with some scalloped lines. Alrighty, filled up the whole page, top to bottom, left to right, and then now I'm making my eyes and my mouth for my monster. So using simple shapes is a good way to play around with this. I just jumped in with markers so you guys could see it really well, but I would start with pencils so then you can erase, change things, so you can get it just how you like it, and then trace over it with a black marker. These can be silly, like this one's pretty happy, pretty silly, I think. And I wanted to add lips too. So we want to make sure that we're drawing things that we can cut out, because we're going to be cutting these out later this week. Not this week, next time we meet. But so right now we're just drawing our eyes and our mouths. So this one has a bunch of different eyes, and I added my pupils and the irises. So pupils are the black parts of the eyes, and then your iris is the colorful part. I added an eyelid and some eyelashes. Those eyelashes are going to be pretty tricky to cut out, but so if you want, you can make them like small rectangles instead of lines, just to make it a bit easier. Same thing with the teeth, so that's why I added like a mouth at the bottom there, or at the bottom lip, so then I don't have to cut out each of those individual teeth. So that's something we want to make sure that we're trying to do. So for this monster, they only have one eye. I added like a little highlight there just for fun. So we have the pupil and the iris. Eyelashes, I decided to make those ones a little longer. Some on the bottom too. And then I did this one as kind of like a surprised monster. So their mouth is wide open, and that's pretty much all there is to that one. So play around. If you want, you could try a couple, so then you can kind of decide what you might want to do. You can always look up images of different kinds of monster faces or features if you want some more inspiration. I added some eyebrows to add more expression to these. Alrighty, and then lastly, oh, this isn't the last one, but this one is going to be kind of like a crazy monster with two different shapes of eyes, eyelids, and got my irises and my pupils. I decided to make this one a bit more kind of like a vampire almost. A happy, scary vampire. But so same thing, I'm making sure that my teeth are inside a mouth, so then it's a lot easier to cut out. Alrighty, and then this here is the last one. So I decided to do an angry monster. So it has its features pointed down towards the inside of the face, so he looks really angry. Yeah, when they have like their irises kind of covered up by their eyelids, sometimes that can make someone look angry, or it can make them look relaxed if I didn't have my eyelids pointed inwards, kind of like a V shape. Alrighty, so those are all different kinds of monster faces that we can try. Once you decided what you want to draw, you're going to be tracing over it in the black marker and then coloring it in. And once you finish up that, that's going to be all that we're doing for this week. Next week, we are going to be painting our lines. So we are going to be needing markers, washable markers, like those Crayola markers sitting next to me there. We will need paintbrush, or it could be a Q-tip, and we'll need like a piece of tin foil or plastic. Could be a plastic bag, could be, you know, a piece of saran wrap or something like that, just so we have like a palette to draw the markers on. And then we'll be adding water to the markers, and that will make like a perfect kind of watercolor for this project. So even if we don't have paint, we can still make paint from markers, like I'll show you guys soon. Alrighty, I'm gonna finish coloring this guy. Oh yeah, I ended up adding some eyelids because I felt like they looked pretty kind of stressed without those. So I'm coloring those in. Maybe they have like, could be pink eyelids, maybe it's pink eyeshadow. It's up to you what you want to do for yours. And then I decided to color in my mouth black. also decided to add some lips to this one. And so then I could color those in too. Yeah, so we were trying to make some colorful, fun monsters. They could be happy, sad, scary, any emotion that you want to give them. You can, it's up to you what you want to do. Think about simple shapes. You could have triangle eyes, circle, whatever you guys want to do. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great week. Bye.